Welcome back, everyone. If you've made it to the second act of Mewgenics, you've probably realized the game just took off the training wheels and set them on fire. The desert region turns everything up a notch. Enemies hit harder, some refuse to let you get close, and others punish you the moment you try. What felt like a quirky challenge before now becomes a brutal test of positioning, planning, and a little bit of luck. But don't worry, with the right strategy and a team of stronger, more specialized cats, you can push through the heat and unlock what lies beyond. Before you get too comfortable, you'll likely run into Dack, one of the desert's infamous mini-bosses. This cartwheeling, knife-throwing thief is equal parts annoying and dangerous. He dodges attacks like he's untouchable, steals your hard-earned money, and poisons you for good measure. Getting close can be a mistake, but keeping your distance isn't always safe either. In this guide, we're going to break down how to deal with his tricks, survive the encounter, and come out with both your cats and your coins intact. Let's get into it. I'm quickly moving on to the video. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. Dack is the midpoint mini-boss waiting for you in the desert region, which marks the first area of the second act in Mewgenics, and this fight is where the game starts reminding you that it is not here to be kind. On paper, he does not have a long list of abilities, but the gimmicks he brings into the fight make him far more dangerous than anything you have faced so far. His attacks hit noticeably harder, and if you are not paying attention, he can shred your team before you even realize what went wrong. This is one of those encounters where you need to focus, plan your turns carefully, and accept that you are in for a real battle. The good news is that Dack is not unfair once you understand what he is doing. When you recognize his patterns and prepare your units to counter his tricks, the fight shifts from overwhelming to manageable, and eventually satisfying. We will share some reliable unit choices and strategies that help control the chaos he creates, allowing you to stay one step ahead instead of constantly reacting. Stick with it, learn the gimmick, and before long, you will be turning that desert battlefield into proof that Dack was never the unstoppable menace he first appeared to be. So here is what you need to know before stepping into the fight. Dack is classified as a mini-boss, and you will encounter him in Act 2, specifically in the desert region. He comes into the battle with a maximum health pool of 60 hit points, which might not sound overwhelming at first, but do not let that number fool you. The challenge in this encounter comes from how he deals damage and how his mechanics pressure your team rather than from raw durability alone. Defeating Dack also gives you a chance at some useful rewards, including the cactus hat headgear. Like other mini-bosses and final bosses in Mewgenics, his loot pool is influenced by random number generation, meaning the item you receive may differ from what someone else gets. As more victories stack up, additional possible drops may appear, so it is worth fighting him multiple times. Even if your rewards vary, knowing what can drop helps you understand the full range of potential loot and gives you another reason to take him down whenever you can. Alright, let's talk team setup, because you really do not need to reinvent the wheel for this fight. A classic lineup of Thief, Hunter, Tank, and Cleric is more than enough to bring Dack down. These roles complement each other perfectly and give you the control, survivability, and burst damage needed to handle his tricks. Trying something overly experimental here can make the fight harder than it needs to be, so sticking with a balanced and reliable composition is the smart play. Matching Dack with your own Thief is surprisingly effective. Since he relies on evasive maneuvers, you can bait out his dodge mechanics and then reposition for a punishing strike once his defenses are down. Mobility and timing are everything here, and a well-played Thief can turn Dack's slippery playstyle against him. Plus, teleporting behind him for a clean hit feels incredibly satisfying. Your Hunter plays an important tactical role in controlling the pace of the fight. By applying steady pressure, the Hunter can force Dack to waste his backflip evasions on lighter attacks. Once those escapes are burned, you can follow up with heavier hits when he has no way to avoid them. This turns what feels like an unpredictable fight into something far more controlled and manageable. Meanwhile, the Tank and Cleric form the backbone of your survival. The Tank draws attention and absorbs the nastier hits, preventing your damage dealers from getting overwhelmed. At the same time, the Cleric keeps everyone healthy and stable, which becomes crucial if Dack starts chaining attacks. With this support in place, your team can stay calm, stay alive, and steadily push toward victory. Dack can feel overwhelming at first because, compared to earlier bosses, he has a wider range of attacks and evasive actions that keep him constantly slipping out of reach. Just when you think you have him cornered, he can dodge away, apply poison, and reposition to repeat the cycle, dragging the fight out and wearing your team down. The key is forcing him to reveal his patterns early by baiting his evasive moves and controlling his positioning, which allows you to punish him when his escape options are gone. Once you stop chasing him and start predicting him, the fight shifts dramatically in your favor, turning what once felt frustrating into a controlled and repeatable takedown. One of Dack's most frequent actions is his throwing knife attack, where he launches a blade in a straight line across multiple tiles, dealing solid damage to whoever it hits. Since the desert arena does not offer tall grass or meaningful cover, avoiding this attack entirely is rarely an option. The safest approach is to keep your tank positioned between Dack and the rest of your team so they draw the attack and absorb most of the damage with their armor. Proper positioning here saves your damage dealers from unnecessary pressure. This attack also has a secondary effect. It causes the struck unit to drop a coin onto the ground. That might not seem urgent at first, but it becomes important if Dack reaches those coins before you reclaim them. Make it a priority to collect them whenever it is safe to do so. If your tank has an ability that allows them to swap places with an ally to intercept incoming damage, use it frequently during this fight to protect vulnerable teammates and maintain control of the battlefield. When your turn comes around, this is where the fight starts to make sense. If you are struggling to land damage, your hunter is the perfect tool to solve that problem. Open with a low damage filler shot instead of your strongest attack. This usually forces Dack to trigger his backflip, causing him to evade the hit and roll onto another tile. It might feel wasteful in the moment, but you are actually baiting out his most important defensive move. Once his backflip is spent, the window opens for guaranteed damage. This is the moment to unleash your real attacks. Abilities that deploy familiars, such as fleas, are especially effective because they add extra hits and can pressure him if he regains his evasive options. By layering attacks during this vulnerability window, you can stack reliable damage and keep him from regaining control of the fight. If your thief has a ranged option like a throwing knife, you can take this strategy even further. Step directly in front of Dack and throw the knife to force the backflip, then immediately teleport behind him and land a devastating backstab. This combo delivers huge damage and keeps you in control of the tempo. Repeat these steps consistently and you will see his health drop far faster than you might expect. Here is where the coin mechanic becomes a major part of the fight. Whenever Dack hits one of your units with his throwing knife, a coin drops onto the ground and he will prioritize grabbing it whenever he can. Each coin he collects restores his backflips, giving him more chances to evade incoming attacks and drag the fight out even longer. If he cannot recover coins, he loses access to those extra evasions, which means your attacks will start landing reliably without needing to bait out a dodge first. Because of this, you should recover any dropped coins as quickly as it is safe to do so. Denying him these pickups keeps his mobility and survivability in check, letting you maintain offensive pressure. In some situations, you can even leave a coin as bait to lure him into a vulnerable position, but this is best attempted only if your team can reliably force and punish his backflip. When managed correctly, controlling the coins turns one of his biggest advantages into a strategic opportunity for you. Dack's poison stab comes into play when he is already in close range, and it can quickly become a problem if you ignore it. With this attack, he drives a poison-coated blade into one of your units, applying a lingering poison effect that deals damage at the start of each of their turns. Left untreated, the damage adds up fast and can push a unit into dangerous territory. Keeping your cleric close enough to provide timely healing will prevent the damage over time from spiraling out of control. There is not much you can do to fully avoid this attack, aside from positioning your tank to intercept hits or draw his attention before he reaches more fragile allies. Even so, poison stabs should not be what ends your run. If you are tracking his backflips, denying him coins, and maintaining battlefield control, you will keep the pressure firmly on him and prevent the fight from slipping away. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.